Welcome back to the Legal Vixen podcast. I'm trial attorney Karen Kenny, and today we have a very special guest here, Leah Johnson. Say hi, Leah.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have her with us. She is a former client of mine in federal court, and we went through the entire federal criminal case process from the arraignment through jury trial all the way through an appeal. And thank God the Ninth Circuit did the right thing and her sentence was vacated because she was not guilty of what the jury thought she did, as well as these others that were involved in this conspiracy case. We're going to get more into that, but I want you to get to know Leah because she's an incredible person. Leah.
Thank you, Karen.
Yes, welcome. It's been a long time since we've seen each other.
I know it's been a long time. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I
that's
miss you.
a lot has happened since we were in court together. Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to start first by basically having you describe before this federal arrest that happened way back. I forget when you were actually arrested on the fraud case. And there was, I think, a total of, was it 15 people that were involved in our case originally? Something like that? It
Yeah.
was about
Sounds about right.
15
hmm
people. I wanted to ask you before this happened, what was your life like?
Well, before any of this happened, my life was actually really simple and grounded. I was living on a ranch in Colorado, surrounded by open land, animals, and quiet. And I wasn't chasing anything high pressure or fast paced. I was just working part time for a company based in California. But my role was limited, and my focus was really on living a more peaceful, balanced life, which is why I moved there from California.
So you would say, describing yourself before all of this stuff broke, that you were just hanging out in Colorado, like relaxing, doing some work for this company that you were associated with in California, and just enjoying life?
Yeah, so I describe myself as, you know, um, I wasn't trying to grow a company or build an empire. I had already lived and worked in California where I'd been more involved and even held shares in a company at one point. But by the time I moved to Colorado, I didn't really want that ownership and control or responsibility for the operations. And so I gave up some shares and I stepped back, and my intention was really clear. I just wanted to distance from myself from actually being responsible for a business and, day-to-day decision making, but I was still working for sure.
And the business, I believe, was based out of San Diego?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever imagine that you would be accused of a federal conspiracy crime with 14 other people in federal court?
Oh my gosh, absolutely not. That was never something I could have ever imagined in a million years. And at the time, I believe I had uh, done the responsible thing by stepping away. I didn't think that anything was wrong with the business, though. My former partner assured me that, you know, my involvement would be minimal, and I did mostly administrative things. And he told me that he needed some temporary help with filing taxes and paperwork and a few verification calls. And, um, that was pretty much what I was doing. And I had no idea that there was anything wrong going on at any point.
When did you first learn that you were either being investigated or charged?
Well, when these federal agents came knocking on my door.
Was it at 6
And I
a.m.? Because they usually try to do this at 6
Oh,
a.m.
yeah, I had just gotten out of bed. Luckily, I get up early, and my husband answered the door and found a group of police officers and federal agents there to collect me,
With
and they
guns?
told me that I was being, like, taken into questioning and court to be charged, and until that moment, I had absolutely no idea I was under any type of investigation. No one ever contacted me before. I wasn't given any warning, no explanation or opportunity to understand what was happening.
Wow. And this was you were in Colorado when they showed up?
Yep.
And
Like literally they were parking in the dirt at a ranch. Like it was just weird.
did they all have guns drawn?
Oh, no,
Oh, well,
they
that's
didn't
good.
because I knew a lot of the police officers and
Oh,
they knew me.
really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
And they were telling these federal agents, like, God, I know this girl. I mean, she's like a decent person. Like, let's
Oh,
just go there and tell her she needs to come with us. And they're not going to do anything. So at
we,
least I had that in my corner.
you got lucky because I've had some clients' nightmare stories where the feds show up with guns blazing, busting down doors, and there's like little
Oh,
kids in the
wow.
house. Yeah, very
Oh,
traumatic. It's
no.
really bad. I wish,
Well,
I mean, especially on a fraud case when it's just like money's involved. Why are we doing that? Why are we going to that extent? I don't know.
I don't know. There's some pretty wild people out there. I think that's why.
That's
I
true
mean, they
too.
got to protect themselves. If you
That's
don't
true.
know somebody and you're going into somebody who is fraudulent and, involved in some big thing, I mean, I think I'd take every precaution if I were a police officer.
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess I get upset when there's little kids that are there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really sad.
yeah, because it's traumatizing, unfortunately. Um,
It is.
so you were taken then. So the way it would have worked is you had to go to a federal court closest to where you were in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then when you get to court, that's when you would have received a copy of what you were being charged with, right? Did they give you that copy?
No, because I went to the FBI office first.
Oh, okay. What happened?
So they wanted to question me. And I had no idea what was going on
Oh, so wait,
at all.
were they doing a search warrant at your house, not an arrest warrant?
No, they didn't arrest me, but they took me in handcuffs to
Mm-hmm.
the court. But they stopped by their office first,
Oh, because they wanted to
and they were
squeeze.
trying to like get information. And at the same time, I was trying to get information. So, um, I didn't realize what was going on. I had no idea. And then they just showed me, how they have the indictment. They only showed me the top page.
Hmm.
And I didn't even know that the rest of it followed. I thought it was just that one page with everyone's name on it.
Oh, wow.
And they're asking me, "Do you know these people?" And I'm like, "No, I know one person on there, but nobody else." And there was a list of, well, a lot of names. And so um, they were asking me, do you know this company? And I said, well, yeah, that's where I was working. And then um, they just said, okay. And I just said, I need to contact an attorney because I don't want to answer any more questions
Oh my
because
gosh. That's
I
so
watch
smart.
movies, watch movies, and they always say, don't talk to the FBI. So I just told them I needed an
Yeah.
attorney at that point.
Oh, that was so smart because a lot of people don't do that. They think sometimes federal agents will, if you're not being arrested, they'll say, oh, well, you're not under arrest. We're just, trying to get some information, and this information might help you. And then people start
Yeah, they were
talking.
doing that, but I just didn't believe them.
Yeah, that was smart. Very, very smart.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people don't know that law enforcement can actually lie to you when they're questioning you to get you to say something. A lot of people don't. And
Well,
they're,
I just remembered when I went to the court, they had told lies of things I said that I didn't say. And I
oh,
just thought, oh my
interesting.
God, I didn't know they could lie.
Well, they're not supposed
Like,
to lie to the
wow.
judge. So they were
Well,
lying.
they did. I was going to get up and say, oh my God, they're lying.
I'm sure a lot of
I
people would
didn't
like to
say
do
that.
that. That's crazy. They started. That's really bad. Because I
Yeah, I
don't
even
think.
raised my hand, and the judge said, you can't talk right now. And I said, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I don't think I
Yeah.
received because I didn't get you until you came to California. So I wasn't
Uh-huh.
part of that process until they told you to come here because the case is in Santa Ana federal court. So I didn't even know all that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I remember I discussed something like that with you, and you were going to get the transcript from it, and it's
Did I ever get
apparently
it?
got
I don't even
lost.
remember. It was so long
No,
ago.
no. They said it got lost, and as a matter of fact, they didn't even process me because they didn't take my
Oh, that's right.
passport or anything.
Because you were
Yeah,
never having to check in with supervised release.
exactly.
Yeah, I think we did.
So I didn't go through that.
Yeah, we didn't want to bring that up because I think a lot of the other defendants had to be put on supervised release, which
Yeah.
you got lucky on that one. Thanks, Colorado. um, what I also wanted to ask was at the time that you found out you were charged with a federal conspiracy, did you know what that meant?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know what that meant. And I didn't know it at all. I was like completely in the dark. They showed me, like I said, only the top of that page.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't understanding what was going on. And at that point, I really, even in front of the judge, I just had no idea of what exactly I was being accused of, except for they called it a conspiracy and uh, what was that again? They
Conspiracy
called
to
it a
commit,
conspiracy and fraud. Yeah.
yeah, mail
And
fraud.
like when I was there, I was told I was being charged with federal conspiracy, that I could face up to 40 years in prison. I was stunned. I remember thinking, this can't be real. And
Hmm.
they asked me, I can't remember if they asked me for a plea there or if I had to go to California to give my plea of not guilty. But
Oh, mm-hmm.
I may have done it twice. And then I was required to travel to California to get a court appointed attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And and at that point I was still struggling to understand how all this happened and how my life had suddenly turned upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I get appointed to you. Um, and I was trying to. Do you remember when I was explaining like, this is what they're claiming that you did, and this guy that you were in business with,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And then we're talking, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this guy totally used her.
Yeah, I didn't even figure that out at
I
that
know it
point. I
was
was
like you're
like
like,
in
no,
denial.
no, that didn't happen.
No way, that can't happen. I don't think that happened. You're like, yeah, this is happening.
Well, didn't he have your name on like the company records and?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, he forged my name to the Secretary of the State documents and
Mm-hmm.
even my stepdad's name, who
Mm-hmm.
he didn't even really know. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this guy is like,
Yeah, it was so bad.
why I trusted him. So
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't register that this was all happening at that point.
And I think there's a lot of women that kind of get in the same situation, maybe not a business partner, but like their husband, they don't know what their husband's doing. And their husband's like, hey, sign here. And they're just trusting and signing. And the next thing you know, you're sitting in federal court facing conspiracy charges. Like
Yeah,
it's
I actually know a girl that her father is doing that
Oh, really?
and using her name to purchase things and all kinds of stuff. And she just found out. So
Oh, no.
had no idea. I mean, people can get your information
Mm-hmm.
and do whatever they want, really.
Yeah, especially nowadays, it's scary. Really
Yeah.
scary. So, and I think I remember explaining to you, which a lot of people don't understand with a conspiracy, federal conspiracy. I always explain it like it's umbrella. It's a big umbrella, and you're under the
Hmm.
umbrella with all these people on your charging document. You might not know everybody, and you don't have to know everybody. If you do one overt act that furthers whatever they're claiming the person did or the conspiracy did, then that's good enough to charge that person. And I don't know if you remember the overt acts,
Yeah.
but what they were claiming was all related to those documents that some of them were forged that your lovely partner had you sign and not sign,
Yeah.
or that he signed for you.
I mean, and with the carts that they had with the notebooks of piles of papers, I mean, to try to figure out all this stuff took a while.
Yeah, and you're sitting over here or back in Colorado, and I believe he was running the business that you had no idea what he was doing in San Diego. Was it in San Diego?
Yeah,
Yeah,
along with that distribution company and everything. I had never even been there, so
yeah. And just
I really.
so, how would you explain? Because there's all these defendants, and
Mhm,
no one really knew each other. And the common, it was like the spoke with the hub with the spokes. So the only common
mhm,
denominator between all of you guys was the main guy, Mr. Michaels, who
mhm.
he owned. How would you explain IDC Servco, his main business?
Well, at the time, I just thought that they were a shipping company and a shipping warehouse. I didn't realize, and I knew that they were doing things like invoicing and taking over a lot of the stuff. All I know is that when I moved to Colorado, my former partner decided that, okay, I'm going to go to this company to help because you're not doing this anymore. You're not doing invoicing. He kind of changed the whole business structure and went to this like warehouse to do everything.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay. He goes, the good thing about it is they are on top of all telemarketing laws. They follow the letter of the law. They are the best company to be associated with, was my understanding.
And how would you describe your understanding of what they were accusing you of doing in this case?
So prosecutors claimed that the business was engaging in deceptive sales practices, specifically that sales calls were made implying that callers were the customer's regular suppliers and that prices had increased when in fact they had not. And according to the government, this was part of a broader scheme to mislead customers into purchasing under false pretense.
And it was like toner for like copy machines, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So when we sat in trial and they're bringing in the evidence, they were claiming that people were code calling businesses and misrepresenting, acting like they were the person's copy company. Hey, it's time for refills. And then the person, whoever answered the phone, would be like, okay. And then people would send these fax confirmations. Do you remember the whole issue with the fax confirmations to order toner?
I didn't know there was an issue
Well, no, I'm just
with that.
what the
Oh,
prosecutor was bringing out, and we were saying
yeah.
these
I
people were
I was
acknowledging they ordered the toner. Like, there's no fraud here.
yeah, and I don't even remember any of the so-called victims were even saying that there was any type of fraud.
Yeah, because they
So,
received the product.
yeah,
They agreed on the
exactly.
price, which was more than most people could have paid, but
They
they
did. And
paid the
it even
price.
had a disclaimer on there to say we may not be part of your regular supplier. So I know that that was on there. I learned a lot in that whole trial, to tell you the truth,
Yeah,
about how the business operated and everything.
that you didn't know
So
because you're in Colorado, living your
I
life in
learned.
living your life
I
in
learned.
Colorado. Yeah, when did you get sucked into this 15 defendant fraud case? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was like shocking and really confusing.
it was, and they were claiming it had been going on for a long time because I guess the people that had the main company had problems previously. So that was another
Yeah.
fact that we were having to try to deal with. Um, did you believe when we were sitting in trial? Because how many weeks were we there? Like 5 weeks? It was long. It was a long
It
trial.
was like 2 months.
Was it that long?
It went all
Oh
the
my God.
yeah, it was 2 months. It went all the way to Christmas,
It was a long time.
or just right before, or maybe it was after, I don't remember, but
What did you
close
feel?
enough.
Yeah, because remember how they wanted us to sit at the front table? Remember how they moved?
Uh-huh.
It was usually goes with like the numbered defendants, and we were towards the end, and then they wanted us to sit at the front. Like I
Uh-huh.
didn't really understand why, but I'm like, okay.
Oh, I'd understood why, because they go, "Oh, you guys look nice and sweet. Sit up front."
Figures the
Remember? I
men were
mean,
using us.
yeah, I don't know.
It's like whatever.
You
Okay, we'll
look
send them.
innocent.
I know.
I like it.
It's funny,
Apparently not.
but at least we had a good view of the jury. Do you remember? Like,
Uh-huh.
what were you
Yeah.
thinking when you're sitting in front of a federal jury and you're sitting there being accused of this ridiculous fraud that you didn't partake in?
Well, I was hoping that the jury could pay attention because it was boring. And I know this. I mean, I'm
Wait, I
sorry, it was
wasn't boring when
boring.
I was up there, was I?
No, not you. I mean, you did this fantastic, like, uh, you know, uh, closing argument, and any questioning that you did was like it was like a spectator event for
I
sure.
loved
But
cross examining your former
oh
business
God,
partner.
that was awesome. Those parts were awesome. But listening to like everything else was just really boring,
I
and the
know.
jury was falling asleep, and
I
I
know.
just was like, oh my gosh, like pay attention, people.
This is my
Like
life.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, it was a long time. It was such a long case. It was a good experience, but afterwards, looking back, it was a long trial. It was complex issues. You got jurors that are just like glazed over when, certain stuff's being talked about.
mhm.
And, then they have to go into the deliberation room after they've been sitting there for how many weeks? And they're
Oh,
supposed.
I know. And it was right before Christmas, and
Mm.
everyone wanted to be gone, and they kept asking the judge, like, "Are we going to be out of here by Christmas?" And we need to go Christmas shopping. And I'm just like, God, this is
It
ridiculous.
was so, yeah, that happens all the time. That's why I hate doing jury trials around the holidays for that exact reason. It's because
Hmm.
people just don't want to be there. They're just going to do the bare minimum, try to get out of there as fast as they can. Um, what did it feel like when you're sitting in the jury trial and you're with all these other people that are defendants that you don't even know?
It was like exhausting, and it was overwhelming. And the trial, because it lasted like 2 months,
Hmm.
and it just involved this enormous amount of testimony, and it was repetitive. And then they had these highly technical things they were talking about, and it was just really mentally draining. And I just felt like uh, I was part of a herd of cows. You know what I mean? And you're just getting herded into this
Hmm.
like unsettling and confusing thing where I didn't know anybody, and I was being viewed, even though these were all different companies and different people, that I felt like I was part of one company and that everybody was doing the same thing. And I'm thinking to myself, how can all these people be that organized? Like a lot of them didn't know each other. I
Yeah,
didn't know them.
yeah.
Like, and then, you hear like these people, like these cooperators getting up, and it's almost like they were reading a script.
Hmm.
And I didn't know if it was true or not, or if things were, because I didn't really know what was happening because I was somewhere else. So, you know, I was just kind of skeptical.
Yeah, and there was testimony that came out that some people actually met with the main guy. They had like these meetings that
Hmm. Like meeting.
you were
Yeah.
never a part of. Like, you're living your life in
No,
Colorado.
no, I never had been there.
Which,
Nobody there knew me. Like, you'd even get up and ask, "Have you ever heard of her or
yeah,
met her?" And
yeah.
they're like,
No, I don't know who she is. Yes, thank you.
"Yeah,
It was so frustrating when the guilty verdicts came back because it was just like, what, guilty by association? And where's the fraud? Like, where's the fraud? That's what I didn't understand. Which ended up being the jury instruction issue that the appellate court pointed out. Thank God.
mhm."
Um, I wanted to also ask you, why do you think, just your personal um, opinion, why do you think the jury convicted you?
Well, I think that I don't know, to tell you the truth. I mean, I think that, you know, it wasn't so much about what I had done. I think they were looking at everybody as a group,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they really took people as individuals. I don't think it's fair to try a case like that
Mm-hmm.
without doing individual trials. To take everybody from different companies and different walks of life, different states that don't know each other, and put them into a group and treat it like it is a group. I mean, because it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a girl there that was a manager. She had nothing to do with owning a company. It was just really random. It's almost like they just took a bunch of people and, put them together and said, "Okay, we got some to convict. Let's make a case out of all this conglomerated information and tell a story about it."
Yeah, and we
It's like that's what it seemed like to me. And so I feel like they just convicted me because I was part of that group in their eyes.
yeah, it was frustrating because we tried to get severance and the severance wasn't allowed. It didn't make sense because nobody knew each other.
No,
Yeah.
they didn't. And I think that everybody had different levels of involvement.
Yes.
And so it was nothing to be like one person had nothing to do with the other. So I don't know.
Yeah. What when we were sitting there and the jury verdict came back and then you heard when they got to you that you were found guilty, what did you immediately feel?
Uh, what did I feel? I mean, first of all, when I was during this entire thing, and what I remember about the verdict day and what stands out the most is like that moment when the jurors came back throughout the trial. There was this one juror that would look at me every day and
I
smile.
remember that.
And
Mm-hmm.
remember that? And when he entered the courtroom each day, he'd have a smile on his face and he was looking directly at me, like almost like this unspoken, it's going to be fine,
Mm-hmm.
is the way I interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
And on the day the verdict was read, he wouldn't look at me at all. Okay. So the minute he walked in from deliberations, I just knew something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, he didn't look at me and he always specifically looked at me. And I just thought, oh God, he got railroaded. I mean,
Mm, probably. Who knows what went on in that jury room?
something shifted. I don't know what went on. And I don't know what conversations happened during those deliberations, but the change was really unsettling. And I believe that, the presumption of innocence still mattered and that the lack of direct evidence tying me to any wrongdoing would be enough. And there was no customer who identified me, no witnesses that placed me in the sales or decision making, or, the only person that connected me to all of this was my former partner, whose testimony felt rehearsed and
Oh,
he was
completely.
just weird and robotic. I mean, you remember that.
Yeah, it was
And,
bizarre.
yeah, hearing that guilty verdict under those circumstances was shocking
Mm.
and disorienting. And, you know, it's the moment that I truly began to question the system I always believed in.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot when people, just normal people, get sucked into these cases when they really didn't do anything. And you have such high expectations and respect for the system until you experience something like this.
Yeah,
And it's disheartening. And felony convictions, you can't get those expunged. It's really horrible effect on your life. Um, for
yeah,
those that,
it really made me think about a lot of people on this planet
how did it
and what they
affect
might be going through.
How did it affect your like identity when you like your identity and your future when you're sitting there going, "Oh my god," when it sunk in like I just got found guilty by a jury for this?
Well, in a really weird way, it didn't change how I saw myself at all.
Huh.
I didn't feel guilty because I knew I hadn't
Mm.
done anything that I was being accused of. And what it did challenge was my understanding of how justice works. And I believe that uh, truth and evidence would protect an innocent person,
Mhm.
and that belief was really shaken. At the same time, I leaned into my faith.
Mhm.
I believed that nothing happens unless God allows
Yeah.
it, and I trusted that there was a purpose in what I was going through, even if I couldn't see it yet. Rather than feeling defined by conviction, I chose to believe that this was just part of a larger journey and that it was being led somewhere and that I was meant to go. And, you know, that belief became the only way forward for me.
Yeah. And even after the fact, like I don't normally keep the cases for appeals, but because of your case and how invested I was, and that I knew it was going to be a group effort, I'm like, no, I'm keeping this one, because I was the trial attorney. So a lot of the other defendants had appellate attorneys that weren't sitting there for the trial. So the trial attorneys that stayed on as the appeals attorney, even though it was a group brief, we could give them insight into stuff that actually happened because we were
Yeah.
physically there, which helped. But this case, you know, getting your conviction, getting vindicated by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, which is one step down from the Supreme Court, it was amazing. And not only this case, your conviction was overturned, but it has implications now because it created new case law for future fraud cases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Oh.
Because the Ninth Circuit held what the government's theory was that they were using to convict you guys was too
Mhm.
overbroad, and it was really overbroad because it didn't require like deception about the nature of what people were bargaining for, or like the purchase of that toner, because they knew what the price was, they paid it, and they received their product.
Mhm.
Where's the fraud? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think
exactly.
for all of us defense attorneys, when we were in the trial, it was just so frustrating because we're like, we don't get this. Like, there's no fraud here. It was, yeah. Those were some long days when the attorneys would get together and, you know, brainstorm stuff, and just how frustrating that whole thing was.
Well, there were so many. I mean, you did such an amazing
Aw.
job, and you did so great. And it was so awesome to have you by my side because I knew that you believed in me,
Mm.
and that was really important. And that you don't always get. Like, people used to say stuff like, I don't know, what did they say about court appointed
Yeah.
appointed attorneys,
Yeah.
whatever they said. I said, you guys need to shut up. I
Yeah.
have an attorney that I don't care how much money I paid. She's amazing. She was better than the attorneys for this, like that paid attorneys that I don't know how much those two attorneys made
A
for
lot.
Michaels. I mean, oh my
A
God.
lot.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you did a better job than them.
Oh, I
I mean, you
appreciate
were
that.
like the star of that show.
Oh,
I just was so proud of you.
I appreciate that. I love trial. I just love it. Like it's like a
Yeah, it
performance
was
for
good.
me, you know. You
Yeah,
got to be the
well,
one that's the I always say you got to be the brightest, to try to wear bright clothes. You have to be engaging. You don't want to talk to the jury like a lawyer does. You just want people involved.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I always try, and it's always easier when you believe in your client. The only thing that's really hard, especially on your case when they convicted you, and of course you wouldn't have seen this, but when I got home and I broke down and crying, like what happened?
Oh
Oh
no.
yeah, like it's hard because as well, I was a public defender for years, you know, before I went out on my own.
Mhm.
So now I take on private cases, I take on federal court appointed cases. But when you're going to trial, you really get enveloped in your client's story because, especially when you believe like they didn't do anything wrong. So you're so consumed in trial for that long, you know, every day. And you're thinking, the jury's got to see this, right? They're going to treat my client like an individual, right? And then that happens, and you're just like, you're kidding. All that work, they didn't treat her like an individual, and now what? You know, it's hard, and it takes about 3 days to like come down. Like, kind of go into depression. I'm sure there's other lawyers out there that would agree.
Well, the only time I cried and I couldn't stop crying was when you were doing your closing statement.
Mm.
It was just like so emotional for me. And the funny thing is, after the verdict, I didn't cry.
Yeah,
I
I
just,
think we were all sitting there just dumbfounded. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
like, wow.
what? What just happened? Like, was anybody paying attention to what we were saying? Yeah, it was really frustrating. But I'm so glad that's behind you. And you were one of the lucky ones because once you were convicted, the sentencing date was set. Then we had your sentencing. And thank God you got a report date. So the judge let you stay out for a certain amount of time. Then we were able to keep getting continued reporting dates, unfortunately because of your husband's situation. But that ended up being a blessing in disguise because you never had to step foot in a prison
Oh, I
like the
know.
others
Isn't
did.
that amazing? I know. I mean, you couldn't believe it.
I
Like,
couldn't. I was
like,
shocked.
like, what is going
I was like,
on? I'm
okay, we'll try again, but I don't know if the judge is going to grant this again. And he did. And I'm like, oh my God.
he kept doing it over and over and over. And
Yeah.
I mean, I could just tell when I went there and, when we had to do our statement to the judge before they give you your sentencing.
Hmm.
And I mean, he just like, I can't just drop these charges for you because I put somebody else in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually said that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah, you can. You're the judge.
You're like, it's called discretion.
No, but I don't know. I think, I just prayed a lot about it
Hmm.
and my prayers came true and it thank God that you turn those in every 4 months because I can imagine that attorneys would just tell people, no, that's not going to work,
Yeah. And there's,
but you did it anyway.
you had to try. I mean, the worst they could say was no. Like,
Yeah.
you don't lose anything, at least trying. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not the type to poo poo that kind of, request because what if it's granted? Then you're not
And
going to
guess what? It was
I know. It was,
every time.
yeah,
Every
it was
time.
so good. Do you remember where you were and how you felt when I called you to tell you we won the appeal?
Yeah. I was at home. And when I received the call that the conviction had been reversed, even then, I don't think I fully understood what that meant. I knew it was good news. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I knew it was good news, but I also knew that the prosecution still had time to take the case back to
Yeah,
court,
yeah.
and I was just thinking about that. And, I was just being a little bit cautious. But when that window passed and the government chose not to move
Mm-hmm.
forward and the reality finally settled in, the momentum that I had that like kind of carried me through those years of survival,
Mm-hmm.
filing extensions, living as if everything was temporary, preparing for the worst, suddenly stopped. And there was no more surrender dates, and there was no more deadlines, and no more holding my breath.
Mm-hmm.
And the fight was over, and I was free. And the emotion that followed wasn't really like loud or dramatic. It was this deep gratitude that I had. And to this day, I am still so thankful, not just for the outcome, but for the people that stood beside me through it, having you who truly believed in me, who went the extra mile, who knew what information was needed and when, and who stood like really firmly in the truth. And it made all the difference. And that kind of uh, advocacy changes lives and it changed my life. And that's why I called you and said, I'm still thinking, I'm so grateful
Mm,
to this day
that's
for sure.
awesome. It was like my pleasure. It's just, we don't, you rarely get those types of cases that, the ninth reverses. And then thank God the
Yeah.
government didn't try to do anything else. But the sweet justice in this was all those people that got convicted, or not got convicted, that pled guilty, all those cooperators that came in and testified against you guys. because every defendant had somebody that was coming in and testifying against them. Remember, we called them the snitches.
Mm-hmm.
Those people still have felony convictions.
Do they? I was wondering about that.
Yep, because they agreed to plead
Wow.
guilty. Yep. Isn't that crazy? Sweet
You
justice.
know what's just so crazy is I remember like before I met you and then my previous partner talking about this and saying, "Oh yeah, I asked him like, what the heck's going on? Because I
Mhm.
wanted to know what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in
Like, what the
Colorado.
heck did you do?" Like, and he's like, "Well, it's just that, let me just tell you that nothing. I don't think that anything's wrong, but this is going to be a guilty plea, and I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to go to court. I don't want to do this. I don't want to fight. I'm going to tell the prosecution whatever they want to know or whatever they want me to say, and I'm going to be done. And then you should do the same." And I go, "I wouldn't know what to tell them. I don't even
Right.
know what they want to hear. I don't even know what's going on." Like, and he goes, "Just pick a charge and say you did it." I go, "God, that's bad advice. No."
I couldn't. I remember you telling me about that conversation. I'm like, I can't believe he literally told you he's going to tell them whatever they want him to say.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what he
I'm
said.
literally going to falsely testify against you if I have to. It's basically
That's what
what
he
he was
said.
saying.
I mean, he didn't say it in those
Right,
words,
right.
but
I'm over
he
dramatizing.
basically just told me to pick a charge and say I did it. And I just thought, well, you can say that you killed somebody, but you better know if they were shot or stabbed or
I'm just glad you didn't decide to follow his
I wouldn't do
advice.
that. I mean, I have this like thing about the truth. I mean, I can't say I've never lied, but I mean, I really like, uh, I don't think it's worth my integrity. And I just know that I would have been really stressed if I would have tried to lie.
Mhm.
And like, you would have been constantly thinking in your head, "Oh, what am I going to say if they say this? What am I going to say if
Yeah.
they say that?" I mean, I can imagine that people go through this kind of thing when they're involved in something like this. And I just thought, I'm just going to tell the truth because
Mhm.
that's going to be easy. I don't have to think about it.
So true. And I know that after this happened, after everything has been said and done, you moved on. And are you doing children's books still?
Yeah, so I just published another book. Now, I don't know how far that's going to go because of all these tariffs and everything now,
Oh.
because I was getting books printed overseas, because
Mm.
it's so expensive here. You just can't sell them for a good rate. But so now I'm doing another story where I'm going to actually do a video, like a animation. So,
Oh,
and so that's going to be fun. I'll make sure I send it to you. I'll send you my
yeah.
last book too. It's really fun.
Oh, and I think I saw this. It was available on Amazon, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Are they
but
still
I'll
available
send you one.
on Amazon?
They're not available on Amazon right now, but
Okay.
I have them on Etsy.
Nice. Nice. And
Yeah.
under
So
what's your writer name?
Bearded Lion Publishing.
Bearded Lion Publishing?
Uh-huh.
Nice. And what are the books? How many do you have?
Just a couple. But I'm working on my third one, but it's going to be I'm going to put it on YouTube when it's done. And it's going to be an animation. So I'm working on that now. It's really fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a story about Noah's Ark from the animal's point of view.
That's great. Oh my gosh. I want to watch that. That's awesome.
It's just really fun. I just love doing stories for kids and there's so much weird stuff out there right now and this is just really faith-based or
Hmm.
like good morals and
Hmm.
things like that. Trying to put something good into the world instead of
Yeah.
just things kids shouldn't be thinking about.
Hmm. So true. So true. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. Um,
We won't go there.
I know. Before we close, though, I wanted to at least ask you, what would you want other women to understand about, being pulled into like a federal case because of a relationship, whether it's business, personal, husband? What advice would you give somebody that might be in a similar situation that you were in?
Gosh, you know what? I don't think I could have prevented this, but I want women to understand that you don't have to be a mastermind, a decision maker, or even deeply involved to be pulled into a federal case. Sometimes it's enough to be trusting and to help someone, you know, that you care about, or
Mhm.
hold a title you don't fully even control. And federal cases don't always start with intent, they just start with association. And that's why boundaries, documentations, and uh, clarity matter so much. So, being helpful should never come at the cost of protecting yourself, and I've really
Mhm.
learned that. Like, there's just no way that I'm not gonna pay attention to details, or, you know, be that trusting, and it's sad, but
Yeah. And how would you, um, or how was this whole experience? Because it lasted a few years from beginning to end. I mean, it was a long part of your life. How has this changed your life moving forward? I mean, do you even still think about it, or you're just like, nope, looking straight ahead, focusing on all these new
well,
products?
it's kind of been, like, not really, it hasn't changed me in any bad way. I
Mm.
just live with far more gratitude and intention and faith. I mean, gosh, I just think, God, look what God did for me
Mm.
every day. And I have more of that than I ever did before, because this was so, like, impossible to me. And I don't take freedom, peace, or ordinary days for granted ever. And I'm going to be more careful about who I trust with my time and my name and my energy. But I'm also more compassionate. I think this experience stripped life down to what really matters, and that's like truth and integrity and family
Mm.
and purpose. And moving forward, I just choose to be at peace instead of fearful, and have faith over trying to control things,
Mm.
and honesty over explaining. And so that's just made all the difference for me. I think it's really taught me a lot in that respect, because I was completely out of control.
Mm.
I mean, I didn't have any control.
Yeah, that was that was the frustrating part. Like, what are we doing? Like, why is she in here? I do have one more
Yeah.
question. Did you keep in touch with the other women? Because there was like how many women? It was a total of three of you that went to
I
trial.
don't I would if I had their contact information, but I don't.
Oh, I wonder how they're doing. You know, Mr. Michaels, he passed away when he was in prison
Yeah.
before the appeal was over. I think he was starting to
Yeah.
get sick when we were in trial. He had a lot of medical problems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's too bad. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. When you're back in Southern California, please call me. We need to get
I
together.
will.
Yeah,
I will.
definitely. Do you have any
Okay.
parting words for those watching?
Well, just, you know, be calm and be happy. And, you know, what, hopefully nothing like this ever happens to you, because it was really difficult. And if it does, just stay calm, don't panic, and tell the truth. And stay grounded. Surround yourself with people, especially legal counsel, who genuinely believe in who you are,
Mm.
and people that are willing to fight for you. So,
Yeah, so important. All right. Well, thank you
yeah.
so much, Leah. That
Okay.
concludes this podcast, and we'll see you next time.